Do you want a video about you? Do you want a video about you? Sure, why not? Look at those scars. Poor baby. Thought I'd share with you a project I'm working on right now, and that's making a couple of pet first aid kits. This one is going to be here, probably in the outdoor kitchen somewhere outside, easy to get to. And then I'm going to make one that'll fit in Scout's little backpack or saddlebags that she may carry when we go on a hike or a walk or something like that. So what do you put in a pet first aid kit? Well, it kind of depends on your activity and your location. My big problem here, my big worry, my big fear is snake bite. And if you're one of my 5 faithful, you'll recall back in, what was it, June, July of 2019, when both Scout and Luke got bit in the muzzle by a moccasin. And that was a scary weekend. And I treated them myself. And, you know, it worked out. And I invite you, if that's a fear you have, a concern, go back and watch my video. And while I'm not a vet, I proudly can tell you that what we did worked out. And I would do it again. So with that in mind, this first aid kit is really geared, I say pet first aid kit, but it's really geared toward the dogs. Although, if Birdie gets into trouble and gets hurt, I'll treat her too. Matter of fact, she killed a moccasin the other day, a little one, and first thing I did was check her over to see if she had any bites, and she didn't, because she's just a tough cookie is what she is. A sneezy, tough cookie. So, first off, let's look at just some of the non-snake bite type stuff, and those items would be some bleed stop, I think I have 2 bleed stops in here, and some bandage material. Now you can't go putting a band-aid on a furry animal, not very easily. So instead, what I would plan is after you get the bleeding stopped and you clean the wound with some of this stuff here, that you would lay the correct size gauze pad or sponge over it, and then wrap that with rolled gauze, and then cover that with vet tape, and hopefully the animal can't get it back off. Which I do keep a cone for Scout, and I need to get a cone for the cat so that they can't pull that stuff back off. And I forgot, you should have some antibiotic for them. So that kind of covers most of the non-snake bite type stuff. I also have some popsicle sticks here in case I need to isolate a leg. And understand, this kind of stuff would probably be geared toward a wound, or if in the case of a break, we're just going to do what we have to do in order to transport the animal to the vet. Even though I didn't go to the vet with a snake bite, I'm not anti-vet. I'm just anti-$1,000 for a treatment that may or may not do any good. But that's a whole nother subject. So that's the kind of stuff that I have set apart for wounds, breaks, those kind of things. Now let's look at more of the snake bite type stuff. First of all, I have a pretty large, and yes, this does come from a turkey injector kit, but a pretty large syringe for injecting hydrogen peroxide if we fear that they've eaten some poison, or in the case of the snake bite, if we decide we need to pump them full of children's Benadryl. Liquid Benadryl, I cannot find any that's not flavored sweet for children, and dogs probably aren't going to like that. So if you are going to pump them with liquid Benadryl, you're probably going to need to have something like this to give it to them. And I'll probably get some of that stuff in, but frankly, I'm more interested in the topical Benadryl and the Benadryl pills. Now, talking briefly about snake bite, a dog is very likely to get bit on the muzzle by a snake for common sense reasons. If a dog is going after a snake, sniffing at it, biting at it, it's going to get bit on the muzzle. Both my dogs got bit on the muzzle. And in both those cases, their mouth swole up. Dogs die from snake bite more often from suffocation than the actual poison, because they get bit in the neck and the face and the muzzle, and their body swells up and they can't breathe and they suffocate. So the first thing that you want to do, in my opinion, once again, I'm not a vet, is pump them with Benadryl. Hey, where's my Benadryl pills at? Okay, now we're good to go. So you want to pump them with Benadryl. If they can still swallow, you stick these things in some cheese or a piece of hot dog, and you feed it to them. But what if they can't swallow? In the case of Luke, he was so swollen he couldn't swallow a piece of hot dog. So what I did is I got this Benadryl gel, and Luke's a very hairy dog, and I just started just coating the inside of his ears with this stuff. And I did it every hour for probably 5 hours until his swelling had gone down enough that he was able to eat Benadryl hot dogs. The other thing that I treated the dogs with was amoxicillin. Now this is a prescription drug, but you can buy it for pets online and maybe over the counter if you live in a town that has a really good pet and aquarium store. I actually buy fish amoxicillin from a store that sells it for, fancy aquarium fish, but it's the same amoxicillin. Just do your homework. And what the vet told me, I was giving the dogs one of these twice a day. And when I finally went to the vet, and like I said, go back and watch my other videos about the snake bite, he told me to double this rate. And what this does is it treats bacterial infections, and that is an issue when there's a snake bite, that they're going to get a bacterial infection from the wound. So those are the kind of things that I'm going to use to treat the snake bite. And like I said, it's important if they are bit in the muzzle to get that Benadryl pumped into them as quick as possible. So now let's look at the smaller version of this kit that we're going to have for putting in a little backpack if the dog carries a little saddle bag, something like that. Now the makeup of this kit is very similar. It's just geared down to fit into this little pouch. And you may recognize this pouch if you're one of my 5 faithful subscribers. This was a little vehicle safety kit I found in my mom's car when I was cleaning it out, and it had some interesting doodads, and I did a video on it. Well, I have changed this over, and it's going to become my pet first aid kit. And my thinking there was to try to find a first aid kit that would fit well. This is Scout's little, what do you call these things? Little saddlebags. And the only thing that's in here right now is a collapsible water bowl. But I needed to find a kit that would fit well into there. And I think that did it. So, what's in there? Another bleed stop. I've got some gloves here. Now understand, this is thinking that we're going to be out on a trail somewhere. And I am mostly worried about snake bite and a little bit about a wound or something like that. So I've got the wound stuff. Once again, the triple antibiotic. I've got a smaller pair of gauze pads. I've got the alcohol prep pads. And then when it comes to the snake bite stuff, I've got a smaller version of the, it says veterinary use only. I wonder where I got that. A smaller syringe for pumping in the liquid Benadryl, which I don't have, and I need to pick up some of that. And I wish I could find a smaller version of this. I bought 4 of these, and that's the only size I could find. Or maybe I need to transfer it to a different container. And this is actually a smaller vet wrap. I didn't know I had 2 sizes, but the name of the game is to get stuff small enough to fit in here. And as you can see, it does fit in here, although it gets pretty tight. And that's about as big as I would want to get to go into this this saddle bag. I don't know how much weight you're supposed to put on a dog, but Scout's a pretty big dog. So I'll have to weigh this and see how this compares to a bottle of water, because you've always, on these saddlebags, you've got to balance them out, the weight, just like if you were packing a mule. Did anybody else in the Marine Corps ever learn how to pack a mule? Because I did, and I thought that was very interesting. So anyway, those are my two pet first aid kits. One for here at the house in the backyard, and one for when we're out hiking. Now, I know many of you are going to say, well, but a lot of these items are already in your first aid kit, and you've got those all over the place for yourself. Yes, but if we're ever here and the dog gets bit or something happens to the dog, it is so much easier to say to somebody, go get the pet first aid kit in the Yahtzee place. And I know that it's going to have everything they need. I just think it's important, as you're building first aid kits, as you build up your first aid supplies, that you start fine-tuning specific kits. Because God forbid, if something happens to an animal and you need to send somebody else, you can send them for a specific thing. And that's why it's so important to mark it and know exactly where it's kept, so that in a time of crisis, somebody can find it quickly, and you can be doing better things with your time, taking care of the animal while they run and get this. Anyway, that's just something I'm doing here. I appreciate you watching.